it's like context and pipeline at the same time. So it's not one or other. It's managing all of those with governance capabilities like SESMI, I3X. All of those are for sharing a similar truth across the organization. In order to have that, you need to have traceability, versioning, log details, different mechanisms. So, as you said, a lot of things in a box.
And welcome to the Industry 4 Community Podcast. I am the host with the most, Walker D. Reynolds. We are at ProveIt 2026 Day 4. I have my very good friend Yassir. Actually, we're OGs. We go back a long way. And Boris, who is the CTO at Meisterhub. Yassir is CEO at Meisterhub. You guys may have heard me talk about Meisterhub many times over the last couple of years. Essentially a data ops platform. Really, they've evolved the platform from outside of data ops more into an information platform out of Turkey. And today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this amazing presentation, ProveIt session that they did. Definitely top 3, probably top 2. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But I want to start with a couple of questions. So you guys came here with some goals, obviously. Yeah. What were the goals you guys came to ProveIt with?
Basically, in 2026, we are going to open to US markets. For the last 3 years since we founded, mostly focused on EU and MENA, but the market readiness is not there. So we try to push, be the evangelist, but more companies need our platform in here. So we said, let's have all of the features.
Your presentation showed that. Yeah. I'll explain what they did in their ProveIt session here in a minute, but. Yeah. So the goal is to expand into. Yes. So you wanted to raise your profile here.
Yes.
How did that go?
Really well. After the session, really well.
Did it?
Yeah.
All right. Sweet. Yeah. Once you got here, how did your goals change, or your perspective change?
Well, last year we also attended ProveIt, but this year so many vendors doing so many cool things together. It's like building something from the first day, you can see completely different things in the 4th day. So it's also evolving during the conference as well.
It's crazy. There's a lot of people coding and building solutions during the week.
Yeah. And that is where we believe it's our like home, where we don't have to be like in certain shapes. This is where we truly be ourselves.
That showed in your presentation, by the way. Like Boris started like super excited, and he's like, "We're gonna do this amazing. I'm gonna run Claude code in the back." I don't want to bury the lead yet, so I'll talk about what they did in their ProveIt session here in a minute once we get through the questions. But you could tell you guys it was almost like you guys are treating ProveIt like a hackathon almost. Yeah. Right. It was really more. By the way, it is kind of a hackathon for industry. The excitement that you guys had on stage was, I mean, it was really crazy. You guys basically did 3 ProveIt sessions. 3 use cases in parallel to one another, 2 separate iterations plus writing a module from scratch for your platform, which is sick. You guys really approach it like a hackathon.
Yeah.
Conversations. What type of conversations have you been having this week? When people come to the Meisterhub booth or they stop you, what are the conversations you're having?
They usually try to understand, since the context and orchestration is really wild for them, how they can do so much with so little configuration, the depth that we have in all of the traceability, all of the functions. Usually they stay like 15 to 20 minutes to go over all of the functionalities that we have, and even in those they would like to have a follow-up meeting to go into more detail.
Do they, when they come to the booth, do they know who Meisterhub is, or do they start with tell me who Meisterhub is?
Mostly they don't know. That's due to our marketing. We were not really targeting US market. We are really focusing this year. So we will be presenting in more areas, be active on social media.
Hopefully. Are you opening an office here?
Yes, for 2026 we are opening a office.
Where's home base going to be? I know you have customers in the Midwest, right? So
yeah.
Is it going to be where your customers are, or are you going to be?
I like Denver.
You like Dallas?
I like Dallas as well, but I like Denver a little bit more.
Oh, Denver?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, state taxes are higher in Denver. You might want to think of it in
Yeah.
Colorado. All right, and then overall, what's your take of the show? Let's prove it 2026. What is your primary takeaway from the show?
In terms of attention and the number of people, how they interact with the vendors, there are only like 2 or 3 conferences that we follow throughout the year. Operations calling one of them, ProveIt definitely top one for us. We flew like 16 hours to be here, so
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is where it's supposed to be. Like any conference should be interaction between end user, vendor, where they open questions, try to solve the challenges. How can they iterate on those ideas? That is the true spirit of how the conference should be built, and I believe this is the only way that can be built, by having a common infrastructure where you give the challenges to vendors to be able to present themselves, not with videos, with presentations,
Right.
but actually hitting the floor. So.
Yeah, you guys. So this year, just for those of you who haven't been here, we had 3 virtual factories this year. So we have a glass manufacturer, which is Enterprise A. It's a single site. It's all static data, and it basically shows how the plant is structured. And the vendors who choose to build their solution with Enterprise A, they've got to do a lot of work. They've got to generate their own data. They've got to connect to devices, or at least simulate devices. They have to do a lot of work that's earlier in a digital transformation journey. And then you got Enterprise B, which is a pretty mature multi-site unified namespace. So you've got simulated data, you have the database backend, you got the MES database, and you have many sites already integrated. And then you have Enterprise C, which is a single site life sciences manufacturer that is, it has the edge data and it has an access to an FTP server that has batch records and stuff in it. But there's no, none of the data has been contextualized. There's no MES data, for example, in Enterprise C. There's no OEE calculations, that kind of stuff. And so the vendors get a chance to pick which enterprise they want to build their solution on, and then they say, this is the problem we would solve there, this is how we solve it, this is how long it took, this is how much it would cost. What these guys did, some of the vendors made a mistake, and they spend too much time talking about their company in the beginning. Right, they go with a bunch of different slides. It's kind of a marketing presentation, and you guys didn't do that. Like Yasir opened with a single slide, and within 90 seconds he had thrown it to Boris, who is the CTO, who then took over and basically started by going, "Hey, you can build modules for our platform, and right now we don't have a MySQL connector in our platform." He just basically throws this at us, and he goes, "And I'm going to ask Claude Code to write a MySQL connector, and we're going to use it later in the presentation." And then he gives it a prompt, and it starts writing in the background. And then he throws it over back to Yasir, and then Yasir basically explains the other 2 use cases that they're going to do. They're going to do iteration 1 was they're going to abstract out line state. You guys use Enterprise B also, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're going to abstract out line state. And so basically this is one of the early steps in MES, in digital transformation. Line state is a very critical data point in order to correlate business outcomes with things that happen on the plant floor. And then this iteration number 2 was the energy. You guys were the only ones to catch the non-categorized downtime, so that immediately they pivoted to, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to show this enterprise how much money they're spending, or how many kilowatt hours of electricity is being consumed across the business when the machines aren't running, and only at the machines. And they also did a bunch of other analysis. And they did all of this in Meisterhub. They walked through it. At the end of the presentation, Boris opens up. Claude Code took 23 minutes to write the MySQL connector. He goes ahead and does the pull request. He merges it into the platform. He goes in, the connector's there. He clicks on the connector. He configures the connector. Then he puts that connector in a pipeline. He writes a function on the node that's in the pipeline, and then uses that data in MaestroHub. They do 3 use cases in 30 minutes. Absolutely blew everyone away. And I was like, if you missed this presentation, you're a fool. Like, you needed to be. It was a masterclass in a ProveIt session. All right, now that I've laid it out, first off, why did you decide to solve those problems? Number one. And what did you learn through the process of solving those problems with the virtual factories?
For the business case, let me open up, and for the gutsy case, I will give the word to Barish. The My prior experience is in consulting, so I used to do digital transformation maturity assessments, have been in and out with different verticals, already had a certain framework for solving those challenges. The reason that after we selected Enterprise B, always throughout all of the engagements with MaestroHub, we see even the best companies, they have data problems, data quality problems. So we need to make sure that the data that we are using, since it's going to turn into decisions, it needs to be trusted, secure, healthy. So we validated the first iteration and understood that there might be some discrepancies. So we need to augment that data and have our own stays, like mean time between failure calculations, all of the first production metrics, let's say, calculated. Then we paritoed those, and it always goes like this for us. With an engagement, we always want to link the business outcomes with those events.
Which you guys did a great job. You did an excellent job in the presentation. You were always focused on the problem you were solving. You were one of the few. I mean, some vendors did a great job of that. We had 51 vendors here. There were a lot of vendors, 24 vendors who sometimes would lose their way when it came to the problem they were actually trying to solve. Sometimes you were confused at what problem they were actually trying to solve. You know what I mean? But it was always abundantly clear the business problem that was being solved all the way through, which was part of what made it a masterclass.
Yeah. For the utilities parts, the framework that we have also for food and beverage companies, like in top 3 cost categories for this kind of plants, it requires huge amount of water, both in production as well as in cleaning in process, or as well as for the electricity consumption of the bottling as well as mix process. So we said, let's correlate those and able to analyze if there are any opportunities that the company is losing on. And we found out that the states and the energy consumption show that there is an unplanned utilization, not able to like directly linking with the production changeover CIPs, where you start the batch, after a few minutes you start another batch. It doesn't happen if you set up correctly, because those are different root causes.
Yep.
There might be underlying problems with material problems or setup conditions. So in just 1 week with 3 people, we were able to find out those. And for the gutsy one, let me give the word to Boris.
Boris, why did you pick developing a MySQL connector for the platform as one of the use cases? What was the goal?
The goal was, actually, I want to prove that the AI, if the AI has context, if the AI has the clean architecture, then I just want to show the power of it. So industry needs same power. So this is the reason why we rewrote MaestroHub from scratch, by the way, because our architecture has some small issues. We have some technical depths. Every company here has some technical depths, right?
No doubt.
Yeah. So I just want to show that if you have the clean architecture, if we have the right context, then if you use AI with top of it, then we are going to benefit. We can, of course, it will take some time to create the backbone, but after we have the backbone, then we are going to so fast. So then we can compete. Even Litmus, I'm going to say, I'm just want to compete with. I know it's a little bit, VR league is different.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of differences. There's overlap, Venn diagram overlap, but there's a lot of differences too.
Yes. But my limits is so high as well. So with the help of AI, I just want to prove that if you have the clean architecture and the right context, AI can help us to even writing a module from scratch in a live session, and also it will work. It succeed. So
let me ask you this. So for those of you, I'll clarify here what happened. So what Boris did was he had Claude Code running on his workstation. He had Meisterhub was running on your workstation, or was it running in the cloud?
It was running in the cloud.
So they had Meisterhub running in the cloud, which was connected to the virtual factories. Claude Code on his workstation, he basically gave it a prompt and told it to, and it already had a bunch of context and some tools, some skills included in Claude Code, where he instructed it to build a module, which was a MySQL connector. And then Claude Code proceeded to take the next 23 minutes to write the module from scratch.
Yeah.
Then he does a pull request, he merges, and then he uses that connector in MaestroHub. Let me start by this. The obvious question is, what language is MaestroHub written in, first off?
Golang.
Okay, it's in Golang. So
Golang.
everything was, so the
Everything is
module
Golang.
itself was written in Golang.
Golang. Yeah.
Okay. Number two, did you actually not have a MySQL connector, and you didn't have a MySQL
we did
connector
that.
for real?
We have it in the version 1, but we don't have time to edit. When customers
Got
need
it.
this,
Okay.
we said that if there is any connector needed, we can just edit and we can maybe use it in the
How
ProveIt
many
session.
connectors? You were saying something about how many connectors you had written in the last couple of days. How many connectors did you write and add to the platform in the last couple of days?
In one night, let's say in one night, I added Kafka, publish, subscribe, all those functionality, RabbitMQ as well, bidirectional, Redis,
Mongo.
MongoDB, and Elasticsearch. Those 5 connectors in one night.
That's crazy, man. That is.
The thing that why we choose MySQL, because as you know, MySQL is one of the easiest one.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So
one of the
that's
easiest
why
ones.
we have only 30 minutes, right? So that's why we choose MySQL. So Kafka took 15 minutes, I guess, when I try. So.
Yes, sir. What was the feedback from the session? So obviously a bunch of people came and talked to you. I mean, I was blown away. I mean, legitimately. I mean, yours and Threads presentations, in my opinion, I think the 4 best presentations, if you don't count Sesme's today, which I thought was phenomenal. Your presentation, Threads presentation, inductive automation, and Litmus, and then Opto 22 to round out the top 5, right? What was the feedback from people when they came and talked to you? What were they asking? What did they want to know? Or first off, what did they comment, and then what did they want to know?
First of all, the comments, usually the poll shows different questions to the presenters. In our poll, there were more thank you notes than questions. So it was really clear for them, and they really appreciated how clear we went through and what is the art of the possible.
Yeah, they actually, somebody said, thank you so much for just focusing, actually showing what a ProveIt session should look like.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that was one of the comments in there. And I think they said, they dropped an expletive in there. Thank you so much,
After the session as well, our approach is basically we want to prove ourselves to say, because we are preaching something to the companies that if you invest in building the context in this kind of platforms, you will gain so much outsized returns. We need to be able to show them in our session to say, we have invested this much in building our platform on our back end. Now you are going to be witnessing what can be reaped if you invest in these kind of initiatives and have the patience. You can just build a data product within 28 minutes that is functional, that is working. Like going into a boardroom meeting, I have a meeting in 2 hours, let me have all of the analysis set up for me. You can do that if you invest in that.
How do people try the platform? You guys rebuilt the platform. You have a new major, actually you have a new full release.
Yeah.
How do people try it? They go to MeisterHub.com?
Yeah. They have a download functionality. It's generally available. 2-hour resettable license. All of the functionalities.
2 hours, right?
Yeah.
They have a 2-hour resettable license, and then your pricing model is you have site and then you have enterprise, right?
We have binary options as well as enterprise options. On binary, where you have a limited area, certain applications, light, it starts with 9K per year. The one that we are showcasing at ProveIt can handle up to 35-40 million messages per day. It's 16K per year.
Okay, 16,000 a year.
Yeah.
Which is small potatoes for its capability.
Most companies can handle a lot with 30 million messages per day. So.
What's the plan for the platform this year, Boris? So now that you got the new release, you're obviously developing a bunch of connectors and stuff. Well, what's in the roadmap for the next year?
Yeah, the next year, maybe I'm gonna talk about the next 3 months. Probably we're gonna be so fast, so I'm not sure what will be at the end of the year. So
Okay.
the first next 3 months will be, we need to talk UNS, so we need an MCP server. So if the customer should be able to talk with UNS to gather the data and gather the information. So this is the first thing. The other thing is diagnosis. Everyone shows flows, right? but the flows are too complex for the users to build. Even if they build the flows, the diagnosis, the problems, and even understanding the root causes can be difficult to managing the pipelines, those kind of things. So the second thing will be with the help of MCP and AI, the flows will be refactored automatically by AI. So they are diagnosed issues, and even the performance of the pipelines will be improved as well with the help of AI. Then the third one will be the pipelines automatically will be created by the AI. Just you are gonna say what you need, and the pipelines.
Are you going to support external agent support? So I can use Claude Desktop externally. Okay, and then will there be an agent internally as well?
Maybe at the end of the year, not right now, but yeah.
Did you guys see the i3x presentation from Sesame?
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
You guys going to add in i3x support?
Of course.
Yes,
Of course.
I mean, I was blown away, honestly. I really.
Yeah.
And by the way, i3x support makes Meisterhub a must-have.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it makes it a must-have, like, because the time to value is going to be so short to basically take data from a unified namespace, add context to it, build functions, solve problems, but then make that accessible into infrastructure. And if you haven't checked out i3x from Sesame yet, just go ahead and Google it. It's brand new. It's the i3x API. It's phenomenal. It really, I believe it's a game changer in industry. I really do.
We are not going to use only. We are going to be also contributor as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. What? We've only got a few hours left in the show. What do you hope to accomplish in the next? Well, let me ask you this: Did you've have any of the end users said to you, "Hey, listen, I want this"?
I didn't have that conversation. I want this, but let's have another meeting for deep dive. Because most of the visitors that we have, they understood, but this happens a lot, by the way, when they understand what can achieve.
I think people struggle to understand what Meisterhub is.
Yeah, definitely. And
what is, if you were going to put Meisterhub in a box, what is it? How do you describe it? The answer is it's not like really anything on the market.
Yeah,
there's some overlap with HighByte. There's some overlap with Litmus. There's some overlap with many other. There's some overlap with Node-RED. There's some overlap with
Fuse.
Right. But there are capabilities encapsulated in Meisterhub you can't get anywhere else, and those capabilities are the difference between just wiring data together and turning data into some type of decision.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like context and pipeline at the same time. So it's not one or other. It's managing all of those with governance capabilities like Sesame, i3x. All of those are for sharing a similar truth across the organization. In order to have that, you need to have traceability, versioning, log details, different mechanisms. So as you said, a lot of things in a box.
Yeah, we want to call ourselves industrial context engine, by the way.
Industrial context engine.
Yeah.
I like that name. ICE.
Nice.
Yeah.
It has different.
Yeah, it's different connotation right now. But all right. Are you guys coming back next year?
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely, for sure. All right. All right. So that is Yasir and Boris from Meisterhub. It's actually one of my favorite platforms. The new release is absolutely incredible. And when it comes to doing a ProveIt session, it was an absolute masterclass. You guys should check out the recording, which should be dropping in the next 2 weeks or so. We'll have all the recordings ready within a month. I think this podcast is going live next week. So with that, like, subscribe, comment down below. We'll see you guys in the next one.